Okay, The Office Season 5, and I'm a little bit torn with this season because while the cast was still as good as ever, the show did take a couple of turns that I wasn't suspecting and delivered fairly nice storylines. I can't help but feel that this season was a little bit of a hodgepodge, and ultimately, while turning out to be a nice season of TV, turned out to be a weaker season of The Office, kind of like how a lot of James Bond movies are viewed as just weaker Bond movies, so to speak. I'm going to tell you right now, I think this is the worst season since season 1, but it's probably better than season 1 because they were able to actually work more with the story, even though, as I stated in that first season's review, mid-season replacement, so it's not entirely fair. Right. So, why was it a little bit of a hodgepodge? Well, I couldn't help but feel like this season was a little more episodic in a couple of instances because, well, there was, like, for instance, Pam being away in New York for a little bit, so you got the idea that the office was a little bit deprived of a certain atmosphere. Then there was Michael getting so frustrated with the black guy coming that he quit and then started his own paper company. That was a bit of a weird situation. I'm pulling the names of the episodes up here real quick. And then there was his relationships with Holly and Jan. I'm not entirely sure that I really like how this season took it because he ends up liking Holly way too quickly, and Holly just happens to start liking him back, just as quick. And I was just like that. Now, I know that you can be attracted to people, very quickly. That's a plot device that's done all the time when it comes to romance stuff, but the thing is, with his other relations, I felt like that there was a good enough of a build-up here. I just don't really feel it. Now, to be fair, okay, you can argue that the main reason that this relationship works versus his prior relationships is because Holly genuinely gets Michael, and that's something I do feel like is vital for a relationship, but I don't know, just something about this just didn't really suit well with me. And then how they end up ending, at least for now, his story arc with Jan, I didn't entirely like that because of a quote that Michael states, at the end when he and Pam are doing the lecture circuit. He states that he didn't entirely get closure with Holly, which I feel is accurate, but I don't feel like the show did a good job with Jan. Now, to be fair, okay, it does seem fairly obvious that they aren't living together anymore, and that was one nasty fight that they had towards the end of season 4, and they did a good job of implying that they weren't satisfied with each other. But if he states that he doesn't totally want his closure with Holly, that closure we got with Jan, Yeah, now you can argue that there was a good enough, but for me, not so much. And also the little bit of, shall we say, Ryan's behavior in this season. I'm not entirely a huge fan of, shall we say, suddenly, reverting Ryan back to where he was at the end of season 3, just, being a temp, but having everything forgiven, I just don't feel like it totally works and makes BJ's character be kind of like a gimmick, just continuing having problems. Now, I didn't really mind that at first because I had a feeling that, and memories of watching up to this point in the show, because this is the last season that I watched back in the day, that, his character would change, but now he's right back to where he started. Yeah, and then he disappears for a while, then comes back despite being in the intro all the time, and just suddenly is pretty much forgiven for committing fraud. It doesn't work like that, because like David, I can understand in prior seasons him, moving past stuff that Michael or Dwight did, but in this season, not so much. You know? Yeah, that kind of got to me. And the Dwight, Angela, and Andy love triangle. I think that was a clever resolution to it. Where they realize that she's suddenly being unsteady with both of their trust, but I don't know. Just given her personality, it didn't entirely work well with me, and then just how both of them just suddenly abandoned her, but then like towards when you got the company picnic, Dwight is able to drop a remark to her. Now it could be that simply enough time has elapsed that they've kind of moved on, and that can happen. Me and my dad had a falling out just after I finished the Survivor 1 World videos, but around the time Blood vs. Water started airing, we had managed to patch it up because we had been away from each other for a long time, so I do have some experience with that, but just a couple of things in there didn't entirely do well with me, even though there were some good points in there. I'm not going to go on to the bit about, oh, it's just a bad love triangle executed. It's just a couple of things within the love triangle that was kind of bad in my mind. And again, it didn't totally aid the episodic feel, because as I believe I indicated in my Season 4 review, that season seemed to have a lot more longer story arcs. Okay, and the other episode lists here. I think I've hit upon all the major points that I wanted to, so I think I'm just going to end this. I'm currently in the middle of watching Season 6, and now that I don't have any real reference points for the show, it's getting a little different and a little tough to keep track of things, but I'm going to keep watching it. See you next time.